With the first pick,
Thunderstruck! Thunderstruck! Yeah, Thunderstruck!
Welcome into the Fantasy Rant podcast. I am Dan Baker, accompanied by my fellow co-hosts Mason Beck and Evan Gooding. And tonight we have a guest analyst joining us. You may know him as a co-host of the Sideline Sports podcast, or of the Cubfidential podcast, or on Twitter as JB Ellis. JB Ellis, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks, man. How you guys doing?
Hey, we're doing great. I know our boy Evan over here, guest on a podcast, talked to Sean Merriman last night. How'd that go?
I beat him in some Chargers trivia. It actually went pretty good. We got lucky. My team got lucky a little bit, not gonna lie. But it was awesome interacting with him. He's got a great show. He's starting to kick off with a fight show, some sort of competition they got going on there. I got to look into it more and get like some TV subscription to watch it because I love watching UFC and stuff like that too.
Awesome, man. That had been so cool.
No, it was awesome.
So JB, we end the show each week with a trivia question. And last week's question, the question was, which running back had more touchdowns in one game in the 2021 season than he did in all of 2022? Evan asked the question and dropped the hint that it is typically a running back going in the top 2 rounds of startups right now. Would you like to take a crack at that answer?
It's a great question.
Right,
I have no idea.
One. We ask very specific questions,
Yeah.
so you don't got it off the top.
That's a good one. I honestly don't know.
That is fair. Evan, you want to drop the answer?
We got Jonathan Taylor with 5 touchdowns in one game in 2021 and 4 last year, right? I'm not mistaken.
Yep. And I believe the year before that, in 2020, Kamara did the same thing with that 6 touchdown game.
Yeah. Then
followed it up with a 4 touchdown season or something like that. So we'll have to keep our eyes peeled for who the answer is for 2023 here.
Wow.
All right. So before we get into the news, I'd like to say thank you to everyone tuning into this Stadium Rant original. If you like our content, you should subscribe to our free newsletter, which includes exclusive interviews, articles of the week, and more. You can sign up at StadiumRant.com. And without further ado, Mason, what you got with the news?
All right. So for today, the first piece of news is going to be about Melvin Gordon, running back. We were not expecting to hear as much news about compared to the other vets that are still out there. But he reached a 1-year deal worth up to $3.1 million with the Ravens. Do you guys see this really giving him any fantasy impact, meaning Lamar Jackson is their running back?
Interesting that you bring up Lamar Jackson. No J.K. Dobbins love there. I don't think this gives Melvin Gordon significant fantasy impact, like standalone value, but it does take away from J.K. Dobbins. I do. Oh my God, get out of here with your Justin Ross love already.
Let's go.
But yeah, I think if anything, they signed a guy that has a little bit more receiving game chops than Dobbins and Gus Edwards have. And that'll take away from them. But I still see Dobbins and Edwards used more around the goal line than Melvin Gordon. What do you think, JB?
It's a great pickup. It's almost, if you want to compare it to baseball, it's like what the Cubs got with Bellinger. You know, the guy was down. He wasn't at his best, but I'm sure he still wants to prove himself. He's going to a team that the running backs aren't the best in the league by far. You know, so if he could come back to what he was a couple of years back, it'll be a great fit for him. But it's one of those, you know, give him a couple of million, see what he can do. And if it doesn't pan out, you're not losing anything.
That's fair.
I totally agree with that.
I love Melvin Gordon. He played for the Chargers, did great things for the Chargers. I'm a Chargers fan, but I do think that his best days are behind him. I think that this is really just like more of a depth piece move. I think that there's a clear drop off in talent from J.K. to Gus Edwards from Melvin Gordon where he's at right now. So just a depth move, in my opinion.
Yeah, I really only see him having fantasy impact if J.K. Dobbins gets hurt, what she normally does. But
yeah,
right. I mean, they just placed him on the pup, so not a great start. Not what you want to hear after him having a couple of injury-plagued seasons the last 2 years. But hopefully he'll be ready to go by week 1. And I agree, he gets most of the work on the ground.
Right. And then, so for the next piece, we got Breece Hall, who was placed on the PUP list. After, last year, we all know he tore his ACL in week 7. Robert Saleh said he looks pretty good, though. But when him being put on the PUP might mean he might be missing some games. So, I mean, I see this dropping his redraft value a little bit because, you might be missing a game or two with him. But I don't think it affects his dynasty value really at all. We already knew, he's coming off an ACL.
Yep, I think he'll be ready to go by week 1. He keeps on saying it. Whether they give him the full workload or not, though, I think will be very telling for his first few 3-4 weeks into the season. They made sure to go and get another back, and I do like Abanacanda's talent a lot. Michael Carter's still a very capable pass catcher, so I think they really do ease Breece Hall in, but he'll still be one of the guys you want on your team for the playoff run come end of season.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that I saw somewhere on Twitter he got clocked at 23 miles per hour. So I'm not really worried about his availability. I think that's if you're going that fast on the leg, I think that you're probably pretty healthy, and I think that they're pretty confident in his week 1 availability. I do love Izzy, so I would also love to see a timeshare, especially because I don't have any shares of Breece Hall. I would love them. I don't have any shares, so I would love a little timeshare action. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on it right there.
It's all about you, Han. Your shares.
Okay, of course.
Yeah, anytime you hurt your knee when you come back, it's always that first live action where you see how good the guy is. When he makes that first cut, going through the line of scrimmage, trying to avoid whoever's up front, that's when you know if they're back or not. But it takes time. He may miss a game or two, get a smaller workload. But once he starts getting into game action, we'll just see how good he is at this point, how healthy the knee is.
Absolutely. JB, we're in redraft right now. I believe he's going around the 2-3 turn. Would you feel comfortable taking Breece Hall there?
I'd try to avoid him at this point to at least see what he could do. But it depends on your team, what your priorities are. If you're willing to be a little bit more riskier, guy has tons of talent. He's phenomenal. But do you want to really put that much stock in something that's an unknown?
That's very fair. Mason, what do you think about Breece Hall at the 2-3 turn?
I mean, I never like taking running backs really off the injury, expecting them to come back the next year off an ACL. It just statistic wise, it doesn't go well.
Absolutely fair. We see that come up time and time again.
And then to keep on the running back news, Nyheim Hines will be most likely missing the entire season after he was in a stationary jet ski accident where he was just sitting there. Someone ran into him. He suffered, it was an ACL injury to his left knee, and he's supposed to be undergoing surgery later this week. But we're expecting him to miss the year. I know he was probably going to be the number 3 up in Buffalo, but in a more kick return, I see his only really way that he was going to play either way would be injuries.
Yeah, screwed up for the guy. That sucks. You're just hanging out, having a good time before training camp starts, and all of a sudden some guy comes around and just messes up your whole 2023 season, maybe more. So it sucks for the player, but I do think this increases James Cook's passing volume. I think that they would have used time, like he wouldn't have had standalone value either, but I do think it would have been enough of a nuisance for James Cook managers to have some trepidation trying to start him week in and week out. This gives him a little bit more of a week-to-week value, and I wouldn't mind taking James Cook at his ADP in around the 8th round right now.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I love that for James Cook because I do think that Hines was going to eat into that role a little bit, but this just makes me so nervous because now without that additional depth piece, it's like Buffalo almost is like, do we get another running back? Do we take one of these guys? And I have way too many shares of Damian Harris. It makes me so frightened. But again, everything's about me. So, right.
Yeah, it's just a shame, that type of injury. Who could foresee something like that? It didn't happen on the field. No one ever wants to see anybody get injured, but that's just horrible. Hopefully he can make a quick recovery and get back towards the end of the season. And if he misses the whole season, hopefully, he uses the time to get ready for the season after. But, like Mason said, he wasn't going to be the starter or the second string either way. So, maybe work it out, just finding something about his game to make him better because he's got a lot of talent. So maybe he could find something while he's out and rehab and come back a little bit stronger.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, so for the next piece, it's about the greatest player in the NFL, Kadarius Toney. He underwent his surgery this morning to clean up the cartilage of his knee. And Andy Reid said there's a chance he will be ready for the season opener, but most likely he won't be. Only going to be missing a week or so. Same thing as kind of Breece Hall. Doesn't affect his value too much.
That's your opinion. To me, this is just the start of a slippery slope that is Kadarius Toney. He's incredibly agile, but with that agility apparently comes a ton of injuries because dude can't stay on the field. If he was able to start at least, have we even seen him play 10 games in a season yet in his 2 years here? So I just can't get behind a guy that's off the field more than he's on it. I love the talent, but at this point, I would take personally for a redraft. I have more faith in Richie James at this point of the season than I do Toney being a consistent impactor for the Chiefs.
I mean, Richie looked good. Richie looked real good. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. There was some videos that got posted. He's practicing, taking in and filling in for him, and he's looking like he's doing a good job filling those shoes as the gadget role player, not the wide receiver one, because obviously the wide receiver one job belongs to
Get
Justin.
out of here.
Justin
we gotta make some type of bet. JB, where do you weigh in on this? I got Sky Moore as the number one wide receiver for the Chiefs. This fool's got Justin Ross, and then Mason's got Kadarius Toney. What do you think?
Well, I feel bad for Mason. Toney couldn't make it in New York, where there was really not much talent at receiver. I think, he could have been a star had he just put his head down and did what he needed to do. He wouldn't be my choice. I think it's a coin flip between you, Dan, and Justin on this one, but I don't know. Toney, just something about him. I mean, he made a great play in the Super Bowl. Give him that. But, can't make it in New York, to me, with the lack of talent that they had on offense. You're not that good.
Right.
I love that. He's from Justin Ross maybe making the team. Now he's 50-50 between him and Sky Moore for wide receiver one.
So you'll take that. You'll take that. I'll stick with my second round pick.
It's going in the right direction. It's not stopping.
No. Tony's the GOAT.
The GOAT. Man, I can't think of an acronym dealing with his injury-prone nature quick enough. But I'll think of something for your GOAT status.
I still don't understand how you could compare that with Breece Hall. He literally just went under the knife like 24 hours ago with it. And Breece Hall's like running 23 miles an hour.
Yeah, different.
I don't see how that they're in the same situation right now. But hey,
one's harder to recover from. One's
true. Okay, I'll give you
fairly simpler. Yeah. But all right. So for the next one, we're going to be talking about Saquon. He signed a deal this morning, I believe. It was only a 1-year deal up to $13 million. $10 million $10 million was the contract with $2 million signing bonus, $900,000 incentives. This was pretty much his franchise tag contract, but
they gave him a couple extra mil to stay happy for now. But he's definitely going to be chasing a big contract that's not in New York next year. There's no way they can sign him to this 1-year deal and expect him to come back. I get it. It's the running back market right now. It is depressing for running backs, though. They do deserve to be making more money than some backup wide receivers. Like Nelson Aguilar a couple years ago with the Patriots signed a couple years, $13 million average, and Saquon's out here making about that. That's sad, but it's just what the running back market is right now. There's too many good running backs out here, so the market's going to stay depressed.
Yeah, my question to that, if you think about it, what's easier to replace? Can you find a B wide receiver compared to a B running back, I think it's easy to find receivers. I mean, so it's sad to see that the running backs aren't getting paid the way they should. And I'm glad the Giants got this taken care of before everything starts, because for us to do well, he's an important part of that offense. Daniel Jones is Daniel Jones. He's not going to lead the team. You need to have Saquon, doing what he does, stay healthy, and, hopefully he gets the money he deserves next year somewhere else or in New York, but at least it's resolved for now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think his talent's going to carry him beyond this contract. I think I'm confident in that, and I'm confident enough drafting him, in that high pedigree, because I could see at least 3 more years of Saquon being, RB1, finishing as our top 12 RB in the year. So I agree. I like this for him.
We're going to switch it up to Brock Purdy, who as of today was cleared and is ready to go for training camp. We had a lot of speculation whether he'd even play the season. I mean, his injury was very unknown about, and the front office has been very weird about it, but they confirmed today that he's ready to go, and he should be ready for week 1.
Big cock Brock. There we go, baby. He's starting it off. I've already made it known on this podcast that I did think Trey Lance was going to be the starter heading into the season. I still think that he has more of he has the higher ceiling of the two. He's got a cannon for an arm. He's got the legs. They just needed to clean him up. They knew that he was going to be a project when they drafted him, still drafted him, still was the project. And I feel like now that he's getting like almost demoted because he was what they thought they were in being a project. But, it's the tides have changed. The tides have turned, and Brock's I think he's going to do well in supporting the fantasy options there in Ayuk. And Kittle just turned it on as soon as Brock Purdy was a starter. So Kittle's ADP is pretty depressed right now. You can get him around the 5th or 6th of redraft, around the same in Dynasty. And at this point, I would take that if I know Brock Purdy's the starter. And it seems like he will be. So,
from what I'm hearing, it seems like it's still going to be more. They're still like opening it up as a competition for the starting spot in the QB room. And I feel like based on Purdy's performance, if they truly believed in him and seeing his performance in the playoffs, I think that he should have that role. But obviously, there's still some concerns. And until I see a little bit more confidence coming from the team, I'm staying away from him.
It's a great story, Purdy. We'll see how he does after the injury. I mean, and if that was for real or just a quick flash of, luck that he played that well. But when you look at the 49ers with all the weapons they have, Jimmy G was the perfect choice. All they had to do was manage the game. They had everything for him. If one of these guys can't manage the game, you don't need to be Justin Herbert or Joe Burrow in San Francisco. You have the greatest weapons all around you and a really good defense. So, to look at what they're doing, it kind of scares me.
Yeah.
As a Winter fan, I got to say, no, I don't like Jimmy, man. Jimmy is, I mean, I see why he seems like the perfect fit, but oh my gosh, I saw him miss too many wide open 5-yard passes where like he's not even pressured, where it's just like, why are you a quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, I just think that Trey Lance offers so much with that rushing capability. Shanahan's so good at creating open spaces. If he can just create the open spaces that he already does for all of the receiving options on the team, and then if that doesn't happen to work out, you got Lance taking off in the opposite direction. Like that's a problem to try to game plan against. But I'm not Shanahan, so Lance is not going to be starting most likely here.
I don't
It's just
care.
all praise
It's
on
not
Sam Darnold.
fun for Jimmy.
Yeah,
Darnold.
That doesn't find
Darnold.
his way back.
I'm with you on the Jimmy take though, Mason. I will agree with you there. I think I don't think he's not the guy. He's not the guy.
Speaking of Jimmy Garoppolo,
Yep.
we got a little bit of Jimmy G news here.
We do. So that Jimmy has been cleared to practice. With that foot, I'm wondering, whether even we go. There was talks of them even finding a way out of the contract. But I mean, if he's cleared to go, he's going to be their guy week 1. There's no question to that with how much they paid him.
JB, as at least somewhat of a Jimmy G supporter, how do you think he'll perform this year in Las Vegas?
See, I don't know. I don't think he's going to be as good in Vegas as he could have been in San Francisco. I think, that San Francisco offense, one of us four could have probably went in there and played quarterback. Their line is decent. They have so many weapons. Hand the ball to McCaffrey, dump it to McCaffrey, throw it to Kittles. I mean, you could just go on. And that defense is going to keep them in games that you don't have to worry if you don't score, 28 points a game, which that offense is definitely capable of. So, but Jimmy G, I don't know. I don't think the Raiders are anywhere near where they need to be to compete for anything. And now Jimmy's going to have pressure in a different sort of way, and I don't think he's going to handle it well.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the 24 class is also loaded, and the Raiders are a dark horse to get a QB next year. I think the Jimmy's going to be a great bridge quarterback, but I think that's kind of where he caps at the season.
Yeah, I think that he's got a decent amount of he's got a good range of options because he's got Devontae Adams. If Josh Jacobs decides to play, great dump off option. Jacoby Myers, underrated, not the greatest wide receiver, but he'll do his job. And then if Hunter Renfrow, there's recently been rumors that he might leave the Raiders, I guess.
Mhm.
But if he stays, he's also a great route runner. It's just really a question of who's going to get it done on the outside, in my opinion. Obviously, Adams can run routes from wherever, but they will move him into the slot. And Renfrow and Jacoby are both mainly slot wide receivers. So it'll be interesting to see if they can get it done on the outside, push the ball downfield. But between those three wide receivers, Jacobs, if he still remains on the team, and the new tight end, Michael Mayer, I think that they do have some good options, and he could just be a game manager and get the job done. But he really does have a very wide range of outcome. All right. Mason, did we have anything else? Oh, yes. The breaking news here. Mason,
yeah.
did we lose Mason? There he is.
Oh yeah, I'm back. All right, all right. And then for the last piece of news today, we're gonna be talking about Justin Herbert. This one doesn't have as much fantasy value. It's something we all kind of knew was going to happen. Like this literally happened 5 minutes probably before the show started. He signed a 5-year extension worth up to $262.5 million, making him the highest paid player in the history of the NFL.
The highest, the absolute highest.
He signed his contract just for us, so we could squeeze this news into the podcast.
Yeah.
I'll have to send Justin Herbert a little extra signing bonus there, so we could squeeze that in. Hope he likes the $5 I can manage right now. But I love Herbert. I love Kellen Moore as an addition to this as the offensive coordinator. Last year, Justin Herbert had the 31st ranked ADOT of qualifying quarterbacks. When Kellen Moore joined the Cowboys, Dak went from being a mid-level ADOT into a top 5 ADOT quarterback for the next 2-3 years. I think this is huge. I personally would take Herbert as the QB6 at the absolute latest in Dynasty. He's young. He's got a trio of wide receivers. Keenan Allen's still on the team for another 2 years at least. Same with Mike Williams. And now they got Quentin Johnston for 4, maybe 5 years if they give him the extension. And then, Joshua Palmer's he's as a 4th wide receiver. I'll take that. They arguably have one of the best wide receiver cores in the league, if you're talking top to bottom. So, and then obviously still Eckler's around for at least this season, ever in trouble. Eckler's the safety valve. So I really think that the sky's the limit for Herbert this year, and I'd be more than happy to try to acquire him for, let's say, even Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase if you try to offer a 1-for-1 in a Superflex Dynasty League. I think Herbert's worth it.
Totally agree. I love this for Herbert. Get that money, my dude. Get that money, and let's see where it takes us. Bolt up.
Listen, what the guy has done, unbelievable. He deserves the money. It's going to be Burrow soon. And it's just that class was unbelievable with the QBs, and to see how Herbert was like out of the top name guys that year, the last one picked. Kind of surprising that he went out and did as good as he did. I mean, it's impressive. I just want to see them win in LA because they've had so much talent for years. They just can't win. So they're gonna do something to break that habit.
Me too, JB. Me too.
Oh man. All right. So let's try to squeeze in one of these keep trade cuts here. We do got a mock draft to get to, but we'll just do one keep trade cut of the ones I have set up. So I have 3 running backs lined up for this keep trade cut segment. They are all born within 63 days of each other, all 25 years old. The running backs are A.J. Dillon, Antonio Gibson, and Khalil Herbert. Both A.J. Dillon and Antonio Gibson have 1 year left on their contract and were drafted in the 2nd round. So this will be their last year unless they get a true extension. There's no 5th year option available for them. And then Khalil Herbert has 2 years left on his contract. If you guys were to be in a startup, let's call this just a dynasty startup, half PPR, who would you keep? Who would you trade? Who would you cut of these 3 running backs? Evan, let's hand it off to you for the first one.
All right. This one was a tough one. I'm not going to lie. I had to pick A.J. Dillon to cut. I think that he's just been an elite backup, and he's still stuck in that role. And I see a lot more relevance this year, at least from the other 2 guys. And without knowing what the future holds for A.J. Dillon, he's got to go. Then we got Antonio Gibson. I'm going to keep him. I think he's just actually a sleeper this year. I mean, he's got lots of tread on the tires still, nice pass catching ability. That offense didn't bring in too much competition. They brought in Chris Rodriguez in the 6th, I think. And I do like him too. But I just think that with his receiving ability, he will be fantasy relevant and for longer than the other guys here. And Herbert, I think that I would trade him because he's got the highest consensus value right now, but that's Roshan's backfield for sure. Interesting.
JB, let's kick it to you.
So I would definitely cut Dillon. I don't want any part of anything in Green Bay this year. that offense is not going to do much. I would trade Gibson. I'm just not a fan of his. I don't like anything in Washington. I think that they're a cursed franchise with Snyder, who owned them previously. Now that the sale's gone through, they'll start doing things better now. Not a reflection so much on Gibson. I just don't like the franchise. And Herbert, I think he has a lot of talent. And comparing the offense to Washington and Chicago, I think with Fields, I think he has the opportunity to do the most, even as a backup, as opposed to Gibson. I don't see that offense in Washington as being too potent to even worry about.
Interesting. That I was shocked to hear you don't like Washington with your professed Giants love over there. All right, Mason. Well, who do you got?
I'm gonna cut Gibson. Washington's backfield's getting crowded, and I don't know. I've never really been a huge fan of Gibson, to be honest. Even his rookie season, where he had a good one, I was not a big fan. And then I would probably trade Dillon. I think he's got some value, and I think he's maybe has a chance of getting a decent role somewhere next year. This year even as well. Like if Jordan Love doesn't play to what he's supposed to be as a first rounder, it might be a lot of dump offs, a lot of run plays. He might have a good season. And then I would keep Herbert because the running back market is awful, and he's the only one that has more than 1 year on his contract. So we've just seen how shaky it is for these guys to find teams, even like Dalvin, who's been amazing for years. It's hard.
Yeah. I mean, this is why I like this grouping of players. I think we all had a little bit different variation in our answers. I personally would be keeping Antonio Gibson. I agree with Evan that I think he's a sleeper this year with DYNASTY coming in and McKissick leaving. I think he's going to have more receiving work than he's seen in a while. And he's already had seasons with 46, 42, and 36 receptions. So I think that'll skyrocket, and he's still big enough of a back at 6'2", 220 pounds to get some of the goal line work. Brian Robinson was pretty inefficient last season, and Gibson has the speed to break off some larger chunk runs for them. I think he could end up being the running back one in Washington this season. And personally, I think he's much more talented than Robinson and should be. So he'd be my keep. I would trade away Herbert with having the 2 years left on the contract. Deonta Foreman only being signed to the 1-year deal. I do agree Roshan's very talented, but I don't think it's just automatically his backfield to have. And Herbert's been consistently one of the most efficient running backs on the ground. The only reason why I don't love him is because they have not used him in the passing game. The Bears are pretty run pass option heavy, and when you run that many RPOs, there's a little chance to get the ball out to your running back on those plays. Don't watch it now, but give Jay Zach a reason. He got a podcast on the impact of RPOs. It's a very good listen. Keep tuning into this podcast though. And then I would definitely cut Dylan. I think that he has some. No matter where he goes, he's a big bruising back. He should get some goal line work, but he just doesn't do quite enough. He doesn't break off those large chunk runs, and we really don't know how he's going to be valued in this next season after he's done with Green Bay. And I agree with JB. I don't think that even though they might lean on the running game a little bit more while Love gets used to taking over this QB1 spot, I don't think he's going to do enough. And I don't think the Packers offense is going to be potent enough for him to be valuable just as a goal line back and giving Aaron Jones some time to rest. All right.
We aligned, Dan. That's crazy.
Yeah, I know we never agree. I'll drink to that.
Yeah,
I'll drink to that.
Oh, you got that
All
clear.
right.
Hope Abby's not watching. She's jealous.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into our mock draft. We have me at the 3 spot, Mason at the 6 spot. JB, did you get into the draft yet?
I have the page up.
Okay, just click on any spot that you want. Any of them are available to you. We got our CEO, Tyler Lamb, at the 1-8, and then we got Evan at the 1-11. Just a reminder, this is going to be a Dynasty startup mock. So PPR, we got 3 wide receivers, 2 flex, 2 running backs, 1 tight end, and 10 bench spots.
Okay. It's not letting me join. I'm clicking on claim. It's not doing anything.
Try refreshing the page. I'll send you it again on our Twitter group.
Okay. Yeah, let me do it on my phone.
Yeah. I do like the sleeper platform a lot more on the phone. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, me too.
It's good both ways. I like that if you have a computer with a wide enough screen, you can see the queue, the roster, and the chat all at once. So that's nice to have all in front of you at once. JB, I just sent you the link again on Twitter.
Yeah, I'm going in now.
All right. I mean, while we're waiting for this, we do have another keep trade cut. Might as well shoot it out there. Oh, we're in. Just kidding. All right, let's get it going. Everyone, make sure you got your sound off.
Nope.
All right. Easy pick. Don't have to think twice. At the 3 spot, you get one of the top 3 QBs here. Go in Josh Allen. Doesn't take much analysis to know Josh Allen is a great pick here at the 1-3. Love it. We just talked about it. Herbert's great spot at the 1-5, especially now with this new contract locking him up. Oh boy.
Yeah, my
Very
5 quarterbacks were down, so I had to go JJ.
I gotta get me some Bijan shares.
Mason, what do you think about that? Oh, you guys, let me. My bad. Let me. I'll give us a little bit more time to talk about our picks here. Here we go. If you go over 2 minutes, you're talking too much. All right, but Mason, what do you think about Jefferson over Lamar? I personally would definitely go Lamar. What do you think about that?
Running quarterbacks have a timeline. That's simplistic to it. Justin Jefferson is one of the most talented receivers I've ever watched in my life. I mean, the team's going to keep going to him too.
Okay. I'll take Lamar with the running upside and the Monken offense, incorporating a little bit more heavy of a passing game. On top of it, a lot of what you hear in the offseason is them increasing their play speed. I think that's going to be very important for the Ravens. If you can get more plays off, this wide receiver core, even though they lack the true alpha number one, I think they have enough spread out talent across this wide receiver core to really improve on Lamar's passing numbers. That's just me personally, though. We'll see how the rest of the build goes.
Right. Ooh, if Austin's watching right now, I'm gonna see if I can replicate his draft strategy for the first 2 rounds there. Get Bijan in the first, and is he gonna fall to me in the second? He is. Anthony Richardson. I love these 2 young rookies, and both of them have tremendous potential. I think Richardson's got the most upside, but I think Bijan wouldn't have made it back to me.
Yeah. I mean, you got the consensus 101 and 102 in rookie drafts. You always love a youth-heavy build.
I love it. And so does Austin.
Well, yeah, I do think that I personally would have taken Deshaun Watson over Anthony Richardson. I think that's just a little bit more of a safe bet at this point. When we're in the first 2 rounds of a startup, I need a little bit of safety built into my pick. Anthony Richardson, as much as I believe in him personally, I just think it's a bit risky for a first, my QB1 at least. If you had gone to Deshaun Watson and then the upside of Anthony Richardson, I could totally get behind it. But regardless, 2 very youthful players that you know will be starting for a bare minimum at least the next 4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
AJ Brown and Amon just went off the board, and that's who I was going to be taking right there to lock down all the receivers for a long time.
The CEO sniped you.
Yeah. So, oh god, this is probably the first time I've ever drafted this guy.
Oh,
why the hate? Why the hate?
Yeah, we don't.
I mean, there's other reasons for hate. We won't get into that, but
ooh, Kels.
Statistically, I think Watson is going to perform. I do get obviously the emotional aspect behind that. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, Kelsey was going to be my other pick too. I think.
Old reliable. I mean,
oh yeah,
he just
tight end.
If he's playing, it's 15 to 20 points. Just sit back and don't have to worry about tight end as long as he's healthy.
Yeah.
Do you not have to worry though? I don't know. I'm a little worried about him in the second round. I don't want to be holding that bag. That's a big bag to hold.
Yeah, I mean, you're a Chargers guy. I can sense your distaste for Chiefs players. This guy's like the most consistent player.
You can sense my distaste for Chiefs players. Are you not reading my name right now?
No, I see you. Oh, Justin Ross, I guess. Yeah, all right. But like, not calling Kelsey's never missed more than 2 games in the season. Like, he's very reliable. I don't see him going anywhere. I'm sorry, Travis Kelce. I probably just jinxed you. Watch out for the Kelsey injury. All right. So I went Jalen Waddle. That was a very tough decision between Chris Olave and Jalen Waddle. Personally, I just don't have as much trust with Derek Carr's deep ball. Tua, even though he doesn't have the perception of being a deep ball passer, when he decides to go for it, he's been very efficient on the deep ball. And people are mainly worried about the concussion. With time, like any other injury, the brain will heal. We just talked about that with Commissioner Cooper. I think him adding a little bit of weight. I don't know so much how much the jiu-jitsu classes weigh into this decision, but hopefully he'll take a little bit better of a fall in the upcoming season. And then I'm going to build on that with Mark Andrews. I think as soon as Kelsey stops playing football, it's going to be easy to claim Mark Andrews as the tight end 1 for the upcoming 2-3 seasons. Interesting stack. People usually don't think about the running back stack with their quarterback, but with Herbert and Eckler, I mean, Eckler's had a couple of 100 reception seasons. It's it's built in. Like, he's going to get his work, whether it just be for one season. And you got a top end running back. This is definitely looking like a win now team.
Right, and then here I'm gonna go Evan's favorite, T. Higgins.
Oh,
Oh
T.
man, that
You're
is
lucky this
great.
isn't an actual one.
If he's healthy and he's in there, I mean, he puts up crazy numbers sometimes. I know he does have some games where he's struggled, but man, those games where he goes off, he goes off.
Gotta love T.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I love that we're outweighing Evan here.
No, we don't. You don't have to. You don't have to.
What do you got to say, Evan?
I don't. He's inconsistent. I mean, he's got the same issues that Tony's got, in my opinion, but much
Oh,
less.
man.
Much less. Much
Do
less.
not compare the two.
Much-
That is
That's a
crazy.
big difference right there.
Much
That's a
less.
massive difference.
I
And that's coming from our Tony lover.
Yeah.
You know?
Higgins is way better, man.
Ooh,
Yeah, man.
I'm actually surprised to see Kyle Pitts here at back into the third. I think that's great value. He's so young too. I love this team right now. Youth off the bat. But I don't love that I don't have a wide receiver, and that's a big issue for me, especially with how I like to build my teams. But you know what? We're gonna keep zagging when everybody zigs. We're going Kenneth Walker here in the fourth. I've actually never taken him.
Wow. Very interesting. If we take a look at our wide receivers left on the board, by the time it gets back to you, Evan, I think you're going to be left with options like Addison, Judy, Samuel, DJ Moore, Calvin Ridley. Very interesting approach. I like that you're taking the shot. It's usually, I mean, we've had a couple of drafts so far, and I don't think any of us had two running. None of us had one running back through the first 5 or 6 rounds in our first draft.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a big zag. You're definitely zagging.
It's a big zag.
Dude, there's a bot. Sniped me again with JSN.
Oh yeah, the bot sniped you.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and go DK. Then I do think JSN's the better pick. I think they're pretty even on talent level. I just think that JSN is younger, so a couple more years I think gives him a little bit of a boost.
That's very interesting because I personally would still take Metcalf over JSN, just with him being 26 years old. I'll still take that risk. And you guys, if you watched me draft at all, you know my next pick, Kyler Murray, baby.
JB, that was an interesting Pollard pick, though. JB, you got something to say about Pollard, though? At fourth?
Listen, without Zeke there, he's going to get more work. I think he looked good last year. You know, and now it's his backfield. So I think he's going to have a statement year.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
I personally have Pollard as my RB3 in redraft. I'm going through building my projections right now, so we'll see how that changes over time. But with nobody there to take away the goal line work and Zeke and his 220 plus carries off the team, sky's the limit for Pollard. He really can be the RB1 overall.
I wonder who's going to have better team between me and JB right now. We both got 2 running backs, and no wide receivers, quarterback, tight end.
Right. We will definitely throw up a poll at the end of this. I'll have a little bit less teams than our last 12-man mock to put up. But, all right, I got to mix in a little bit of win now here. I'm going to take the king. We're going Derrick Henry. I need at least one true RB1, and Derrick Henry will give me that for at least this season.
And then he can't find a contract.
Yeah, I mean that's a good. What do we think that Derrick Henry will get signed for next year?
I think it depends how the season goes. Entirely. If he knows he's getting old, I think it's not going to be a good deal.
There's no way he signs for less than $10 million, in my opinion. But could just be a 1-year deal to a contender. I mean,
it's so tough though. I mean, if you're a unbelievable running back like Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, and you sign a 1-year deal, you go out there, you know, blow your ACL, blow your knee out. What do you do? I mean, I understand where the running backs are coming from. It's a horrible situation. You know, it's just ugly.
We were talking actually
It really,
before. I was like,
really is.
what if the XFL ponies up, starts paying these guys? You know, the NFL almost needs more competition for something to change.
There's no way the studs
They
go
can't,
to
they
yeah.
can't. Well, like something's got like I don't know how you bring more competition. It's kind of like they have all the control and nothing can change it.
Way back in the
100%
80s,
didn't know sorry,
there
go
was
ahead, JB.
no back in the 80s there was the USFL. They had some guys that would have been in the NFL. So if the XFL has money, it changed the whole situation.
They would.
Yeah.
Ooh,
I mean, that's what I was going to bring up too. I'm not going to pretend to know the XFL's salary caps and what kind of contracts they're dealing with. But I highly doubt that if these running backs are looking for that $10 to $15 million payout, that the XFL has that kind of money to pay one player. But we'll see. I mean, I could be proven wrong.
Look at MLS. They went out there and got Messi, you know, with the partners pitching in money. So you never know if, you know, maybe whoever invests in the XFL, whatever company sponsor it, maybe they get involved and say, oh, we got to go get a guy like Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
It'll change the perception of our league.
Get people in the stands. I totally agree. Totally agree too.
I don't think it'll happen, but that would be the way to go.
It's the only way to go. I mean,
Yeah.
other than the ideas that they were floating on that meeting. All right, but back to the draft here a little bit. I love that segue though. I could continue that conversation all day long. But we got Calvin Ridley here. I picked as my wide receiver 1. I'm pretty comfortable with that. And then as my wide receiver 2, we're gonna do George Pickens. Get some youth going in that wide receiver room now.
I can't get behind it. I like Pickens. I think he is a fun wide receiver to watch, but he doesn't create the separation. He's got terrible separation metrics, and that's what you need as an NFL wide receiver. How often is Kenny Pickett going to be, oh, I am that confident in my accuracy, I'm just going to give a 50-50 ball to Pickens? I just don't see that happening, or at least if I'm the coach, I'm not giving Pickett that opportunity to throw up these 50-50 balls.
I would love to see more separation there, but he's so physical, he can work around it. And I think that is going to produce for him this year. I think he gets more opportunities this year, and I think he makes good work out of it.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes. I still think Deontay has a bounce back season.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he is a proven separator, and he's still on the team for another couple of years. So I don't know. I like Pickens. I like Freiermuth. I think there's only so many red zone targets to go around. If there wasn't Freiermuth, if they didn't just bring in Darnell Washington, I would be more happy with Pickens, knowing that he'll probably get between 6 to 10 touchdowns on the year. But without that true proven touchdown upside, I just can't get behind it. I'm surprised this guy fell all the way to me. I personally am pretty high on Joe Mixon now that he's just got the contract at least for the year, possibly 2. There is the possibility. I saw that Mixon, if the Bengals wait until after June 1st, they can cut him for a $0 dead cap. That'll be tough if they end up doing that. But right now, I got my win now running backs, and I'm very happy this running back made it all the way back to me as well. Miles Sanders, I'm also very high on with his new contract. I think that the Panthers already did a great job of running the ball with Foreman and Chuba Hubbard last year. And if they can do it, Sanders can go off. So I'm loving me my running back room, especially with waiting until the 5th round to start taking them.
Yeah, I should probably take my first since it's the 7th. And meaning half my team is Vikings.
Yeah.
Wow, that is pretty crazy.
I'm going to go Rashad White. I mean, I know a lot of people don't have faith in him, but I do. I mean, I don't think he's ever going to be a top 12 running back, but, I mean, RB2 in the 7th round, like, all right.
That's great value there, Mason.
Oh, yeah.
I love that.
I agree with it. I think they could definitely bring in another running back that will take away his value either before the season starts or next season. But regardless, he's got the receiving work locked up. And with the team that I could see losing a lot of games this year, that's pretty valuable.
Oh my God. The Team 10 just sniped my stack. Are you kidding me? I wanted that Kenny Pickett and George Pickens stack. What the heck?
Pickens and Pickett is my favorite stack in fantasy.
It's a nice
I love
late round
What
stack.
is going on?
It's a nice late round stack. All right, I'm gonna go with some more. Now I'm going youth at receiver, Jahan Dotson.
Love Jahan.
And then,
Big
oh,
time.
he did fall to me. Let's go, Jordan Love, because I don't know what JB's talking about with that Green Bay offense, but you know, I like him a lot this year.
Don't ever
Before we move on to JB, I wanted to touch on your Swift pick. How do you feel the Philadelphia running back room is going to fall out this season?
You know, Swift is he's got a lot of talent. Even if he's not the starter, when he gets in there, he's going to do something. He did it last year when he was in Detroit, where he was splitting time. But I think he's going to be motivated to try and be the starter that he's in Philly. If he gets the job or not, I know he's okay playing half the time, and he's got a better team offensively. So I like him there.
Love it too.
Yeah.
And I got to take another Viking.
What is this? How confident are you in the Vikings this year?
Last
Somebody's
year,
been watching quarterback. Somebody's been watching quarterback. Huh?
There's this league I was in where I just happened to draft. It was redraft. Just happened to draft like half my team being Vikings, and I ended up getting second place. So I don't care. Let's do it again.
That's one strategy, I suppose. Vikings or fail. Right now, it is tough. I would have liked Deontay Johnson to fall to me. I like the youth. He's youthful enough, and I do think he has a bounce back season. I mean, the way my team's panning out right now, it's pretty win now. So we're gonna go Keenan Allen here. Let's see if I can get this up for the. All right, here's our full team for the time being. I'm gonna stack. This is a tough decision. Wow. I'm really putting myself in a hole with the wide receivers here.
I know. It's tough. There's so much stress in the mock, too.
Oh, dude, he's there. Just take him. He's at the top of the list.
No, you cannot convince me. Man, oh man, this is tough. I would like to mix in a little bit of youth with the players that I have right now in my wide receiver room, but I'm just not seeing it there with the players around at this point. I still personally think that Tyler Lockett will be the wide receiver 2 for this season. So I'm going to stick with my win now strategy, take Tyler Lockett. He's not finished lower than, I believe it's the wide receiver 17 in the past 3 seasons. Let me fact check that. Yeah, the past 4 seasons hasn't finished anything lower than wide receiver 15. So I'll take that upside in a year for this singular season. I think he can help me win a championship now. But we are. Oh, and JB, you took the guy that I was considering if I went with a youth strategy there. I like Jonathan Mingo. Speak to what do you think about Jonathan Mingo's upside in year 1?
So I got to see him in the combine. He just looks impressive. He looks like he's going to go out there and do well. It's just a matter of the ball going to get to him. I'm more worried about that more than him. You know, he can play. He's got speed. He's got power. He can catch. You know, it's only one on your receiver. He's going to be a really good wide receiver as long as they get him the ball. So, you know.
Yeah, I think he might have a slow year 1, but I think like future-wise, he's going to be good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be pretty tough for him to have an immediate impact. You always hear about the rookie quarterbacks not being able to support anything more than 2 top 24 wide receivers. Will Jonathan Mingo be one of them this year? I don't know, but he's going to grow with Bryce Young. And I do think he has a really large upside. I feel like a good comp would be like an Anquan Bolden styled wide receiver. Not saying he's going to have an Anquan Bolden career, but he's got the big body. He's got a little bit of speed, and he doesn't have much competition after this year. So we'll see how that goes. Ooh, I like the running backs you picked up there.
Yeah.
9th and 10th round, Montgomery and James Conner. Those guys are both going to have great 2023 seasons.
Yeah, it's
And
good.
you stacked that, or you paired them with a couple of younger wide receiver or running backs early in the draft. So
Yep.
I think that's a solid move.
Running back room is done. Or is it?
Is it done?
Or is it? I don't know. You know what I don't know.
We're only 10 rounds deep, and you're done. No, I do think that you got a great running back room, and you can wait for some like hopeful upside picks in the later rounds. But for right now, this is probably one of the better running backs rooms I think we see in this draft.
I'm honestly gonna. He's been shooting up my personal list a lot lately, and this is a little higher than his ADP. But I don't know if he'd get back to me, so I got to go with him. I think he's the future in Tennessee.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, my only worry with him is the whole knee issue that got brought up at the draft.
No ACLs in your future.
No ACLs, can't tear what you don't have, man. So before I knew that news, before the draft, I did think he had crazy upside. Dude can shake. He's got a lot of speed. All right. Well, that was quick. I'm taking Antonio Gibson there, 100%. And then I'm going to circle back around and I'm going to grab Derek Carr. I got the guy that will take care of my quarterback 2 position while Kyler Murray heals up. And then after this year, I can do whatever with Derek Carr. It'll be back to Kyler and Josh Allen as my top 2. Both have potential QB6 upside. Moving on. Ooh, love the Desmond Ridder pick.
Love that too. It might be the earliest I've ever seen him taken, actually.
Wow.
And I mean, he's definitely worth it at this point. Very young. We saw Marcus Mariota as the QB 13 before he left with his injury. I think Desmond Ridder has a very similar play style, but is more accurate. What do you feel about Desmond Ridder in 2023, JB?
I think he's going to have a good year. I mean, Atlanta's on an upswing. You know, he got Pitts to throw to. He's got the defense is getting better. I just think the kid has a lot of talent as well. So I see him doing well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And now they got an easy dump off with Bijan.
Yeah.
Guy shows that he's got wide receiver hands. So I really think that if they decide to go a little bit more pass heavy, that Bijan could see upwards of 60 catches. And I mean, when you have a guy like that for 60 catches on easy dump offs, excuse me, beer's coming back.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah, I think that Bijan can add a lot to the easy, 60 targets. Let's say he's got an average yards per reception, even low ball it, let's say around 8 yards. That's right there, about 480 passing yards for Ridder. You know, that's going to offer a great baseline.
JB, I really like that Laporta pick right there. I mean, I think he's the best rookie tight end in the class because, Dan Campbell knows his tight ends.
He's going to do well in Detroit too. I mean, it's a good spot for him. And the kid is phenomenal. Great person. On top of that, I mean, I got to ask him a question at the combine. The kid was almost in tears. I asked about the Iowa Children's Hospitals, and it was a genuine answer. You know that they all have their stock answers. I mean, the kid generally almost cried. So I was impressed by who he is.
That's really, really cool. I did not know about that.
Yeah,
it's really awesome that you got a chance to go to the combine as well. Ask these guys some things. How was that experience?
A lot of fun. I mean, you know, it's always great when you get to actually do a press conference and you fight to get your question in. You know, and you see how the guys react to the question. You know, a lot of the guys will give you stock answers. Like Michael Mayer was very, very polished. You know, which I get why he is. I mean, he's got to do this hundreds of times. But when you see someone that actually gives you a real answer, you kind of gravitate to him and kind of like it.
Absolutely. And I could kind of get Michael Mayer doing that, being from Notre Dame. I feel like all of those like Christian-based schools are a little bit more cut and paste, you know, about what they can and can't say.
Right.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay. We got some smack talk. We got our CEO here saying, I will win this mock. Y'all are making this too easy. We got to show them what's up. We will be posting our 5 teams here on a Twitter poll later on. Make sure you go give us a follow at Follow the Volume. That's my Twitter handle. I'll be posting these mocks. Give us your opinion. Tell us who you think we should have taken, who lasted too long, who didn't last long enough. We'll have all the answers there, and we'll put it back up. And shout out to our last mock draft winner. According to the people, Fields to Moore won the mock draft. It was a close race. He just beat out his opponent by 1 vote in the Twitter poll. So every vote matters. Get in there, give us your opinion. Feel free to tell us where we messed up. It's always a fun conversation.
His trophy is like 5 to 7 business days away, too, I think.
Yeah, trophy's in the mail. All right, I need to build some wide receiver depth here. I do believe that this player is a little undervalued right now. With Hopkins leaving the team, we have a lot of space for Rondale Moore to shine. He is a hyper athletic wide receiver. As small as he is, Marquise will be operating on the outside. I don't think Greg Dortch is a threat to Rondale Moore's slot time. So long as Moore can stay healthy, this Cardinals team is going to need to pass a lot. And Kingsbury likes spreading out his wide receivers, running pass heavy. So I do think that this will be an interesting stack, not my usual stack that I'm thinking of with Kyler Murray, but I will take that. And with that, I will also take Romeo Doubs. I think he is also being undervalued. I don't have a ton of faith in Jordan Love to truly excel and run with this starting gig, but I do think that he will perform at an average quarterback level to the point where he will be able to stick it out through the 5th-year extension that they just gave him. I also don't think that the Packers are going to finish low enough in order to draft a replacement for him. If I predicted the Packers to be bottom tier, then I'd be a little bit more worried about Love's place on the team in 2024. But I think Romeo Doubs is going to be a fine wide receiver 3 to 4 option in the years to come.
I agree with that. I love Dobbs. I am a little bit worried with the Jaden Reed addition. I think he's going to take away some targets. I don't think he's going to get as many targets this year, but him and Watson. I think that Jaden's going to have a nice slot role there.
Yeah. I know our CEO, Tyler, he's very high on Christian Watson this year. I'd be interested to hear what he thinks about Dobbs' place in the offense. We'll see if he chimes in with a comment here, unless he only wants to smack talk.
Tank Dell's turning into one of my favorite rookie wide receivers. I don't know why, but I just keep watching him, dude. He's so smooth with his routes. He's so fast. I don't know. I think he's going to surprise a lot of people this year.
I mean, there's a reason. Oh, I love when you do that, man. The Purdy Lance stack. There's no way we'd get it this late in a draft without bots being the majority here. But it's such a great idea. If you can get this stack in your dynasty, I highly suggest it, especially if it's like 9th, 10th round or later. Really love that strategy there.
Yeah, no, I mean, one of them is going to be our starter for sure, and then the other one could be traded somewhere else and get a chance to start somewhere else. So, some people would look at it as like, oh, if you're getting a backup, you're getting a starter. You might be rotating all year, but 2 years or something like that, you might have 2 starters.
Exactly. That's exactly why I love it. You got the San Francisco starter locked up this year, and then you got so much upside if Purdy keeps the job and they decide to trade Lance for whatever they can get from him. I really think it's a great strategy. I'm up here with a quarterback as well. I love Sam Howell's upside. I really do think that he can step up into their starter for the next 3 years coming up here. He was considered a very popular, like the QB1 after his sophomore season. A little bit of a drop off there. Oh, here we go. He chimed in here. Watson is going to be the feature guy. LaFleur knows how to feature a player. We all know that. That's absolutely true. He also said that I have Dobbs and Reed's 15 points apart. Me and him have been trying to create our projections. He flew through his, and I'm very interested to go through and compare when I get done with mine. I really think that going through projections can help you change your thoughts about a player a lot. Sometimes we have this perception in our head. Then after we go through and look at the numbers, it's very telling when you go through and actually project what they're going to do. So that'll be very interesting to see how that all goes. Boys, I got the projections too. If you want them, I'll send them your way. We'll get you going on yours.
I do gotta get going on mine. I want to make mine. It's something I wanted to do, and you got the template for us now too. So we
Yep, I got you, man. JB, do you do your own projections or like rankings or anything?
No, I do it by feel. I mean, I get the projection idea, and it's probably a great thing to do. You probably learn a lot and can figure out things that I'm not seeing. But I've always done fantasy by feel, and even sports betting. Stats are great and they're important, but there's something to just the old school feel of it. I mean, you have to look a little bit at stats, and you can't just totally discount it. But I've never got it actually done projections.
And that's fair enough. I mean, they're so time consuming, and it really starts just to feel like a number crunching activity. But I agree. I mean, when I'm doing them, I try to throw on games for the team that I'm doing and still have that feel for the players I'm talking about, rather than just looking at past numbers, taking averages, looking at where the team is heading. It is important to weigh both sides of it. And I do love both crushing film and crunching the numbers. I mean, so the first time I ever did them, I started off with the Rams, and that was 2 years ago. It ended up giving me, at that time, Cooper Kupp was just coming back from his injury. Robert Woods had a decent season. And I looked at some of the numbers. I was like, Kupp is the clear lead in this offense. And now it seems very evident. But back at the time, it was not very clear who was going to come out as the wide receiver one from that offense. Doing the projections helped me get there. But it took me so long to run through that and two other teams that I was like, screw the rest of these projections. This ain't my day job, so I ain't got time for that.
Yeah, I mean, I tried like kind of messing around a little bit of daily doing it, trying to figure it out, but it's just a lot. And to do it for a whole season, forget. I give you a lot of credit.
When you're saying daily, you meant like DFS, you're saying?
Yeah.
That's got to be really difficult. I could only imagine, because like a week-to-week basis, yeah, it helps when you have like the defense ahead in front of you. You know who you're going to be working with, and like, I mean, there's tons of teams where we're projecting huge numbers because this defense is projected as a terrible run defense or whatever.
Where do you draw the line on like how many, like top 20 in each position, or like how many projections do you go out when you do it like that on a weekly basis?
So if I don't sit there and go through it all day. I mean, I'll do it quick just in my head what I'm projecting.
What feels
like
right.
It's not like it's not a projection like what Dan's talking about, where you go and project for the season and you actually go through the template. But when you do it enough, you get pretty close. And you'll see. DFS is such a small sample for error that you lose hundreds of dollars just on one wrong pick. Just figured out one spot wrong. So, but it's a challenging thing to just sit there and try and figure out.
Oh, I totally agree with you there. All right, what we got here? Oh, Stenson Bennett still available? Let's go. Let's get some Stenson Bennett in here, and then you guys know who I'm drafting here. You guys know what's going on. You guys know Justin Ross in the 18th round. Come on.
Here we go.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
I was going to take him just like we did last mock to
I
make
wish
you
you did, because then I would have ripped you up for it. Wish you did.
I don't even need to say it anymore. Y'all already know. We're adding up this counter. Actually, I got some chalk paint that I bought. I'm making a chalkboard on this damn wall right here.
Bro,
We're gonna have your Justin Ross counter, and we're gonna make some bets here.
Bro, you're
There's
gonna need
no
to cut
way
down
I'm
a tree
letting
with
you
all the
guys
paper you're
lose
gonna
the
need.
season.
You're gonna need to cut down a tree. Get more paper. Let's go.
You're right. This sticky note ain't gonna cut it. We're gonna. You know what? You need to get a tattoo of Justin Ross or some type of tally counter. We're gonna mark you up, buddy. You're gonna look like a ex-con by the time you're done with this season.
All right, might as well take another Viking.
Get what? I feel like I go. Oh, I wanted Higbee. I like Higbee as a late round tight end. He's only got this one season locked up, but I will take him for this one round or this one season. I meant. Damn. Okay. Well, let's pivot. Okay. I personally think this is one of the most undervalued wide receivers. Isaiah Hodgins, 24 years old. The Giants only sign slot wide receivers. JB, you're a Giants fan, right?
Yeah.
So you guys got Darius Slayton and Isaiah Hodgins, and then about 22 slot wide receivers. You guys just brought on Cole Beasley. I just don't understand the strategy behind it. What do you have a little bit of insight into what they may be thinking with signing so many slot wide receivers?
I guess the theory is you could have 30 and you'll find one that's good. I don't know. The Giants, it just scares me with some of the moves that they make.
Yeah, I don't get the front office, to be honest. I mean, so to run through them, they got Wandale. They just brought in Cole Beasley. They have Sterling Shepard's not a slot, but he's not oversized at this age. Maybe they run him through the slot a little bit more. They got Jamison Crowder. Help me if I'm
Jalen
forgetting
Hyatt,
somebody else.
Jalen Hyatt, Bryce Ford Wheaton.
Oh, Paris Campbell. They got Paris Campbell.
They have so many. It's
so many slot wide receivers. I just don't understand. So I think Isaiah Hodgins is a solid sleeper pick in these rounds. I just don't see anybody else filling that role that he can at his like 6'2", 6'3" stature.
Like I said, I love Evan Hull in the 19th round because he has potential to become JT's backup. And I mean, JT's just coming off surgery. You know, that ankle could be lingering, could be a reoccurring thing. We see that sometimes with ankles. So, I mean, you got a potential rookie who could become a potential backup for him. I think in the 19th round is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean he's a pass catcher. He could take over the Nyheim Hines role. So I definitely think that could have standalone value. The only thing that gives me a little bit of pause is Shane Steichen ran the most RPOs in the league last year. We were talking earlier about the effect that can have on a receiving back. It's going to stifle him a little bit. On top of it, Anthony Richardson, we all know, is an athletic freak. He's going to take off, I think, more often than he checks down. But as he learns, as he progresses as a passer, we could see Hull take over a very hefty passing down role. Evan, I thought you just took Campbell with that pick. I was about to get on you for it, but
no. I got Wandale already. I got my Giants receiver.
You got Wandale earlier? Okay, I see you now.
Just getting that,
right.
Free agent RB could get a job, and then Gardner Minshew, a little handcuff just in case Anthony Richardson goes south.
Word. Let's work in reverse order here, Evan. Since you have all of your picks already, who would you say is your favorite pick of this draft?
My favorite pick of this draft, probably Tank Dell. I love these late round rookies. You give me late round rookies like Tank Dell, Michael Wilson, 14th, 15th round, Justin Ross. I crave over those guys. But in terms of value I got to steal, I think that George Pickens might be my steal pick here.
Interesting. So I personally think that you reached on George Pickens just a little bit. I wouldn't consider him a steal there, but I do think that he offers something that the other Pittsburgh wide receivers do not have. I mean, after you got Deontay and Pickens, it drops down quite a bit to Calvin Austin. Both him and Deontay are undersized guys, so unless we're talking including the tight ends and monstrous Darnell Washington and Pat Fryermuth, George Pickens could have the touchdown upside. We just need Pickett to throw more than his 12 or 13 touchdowns that he had last season.
Yeah.
I think they'll open it up a little bit more this year.
Yeah?
I think so.
Yeah, give him a little bit more trust. He did start to come on a little bit towards the end of the season in terms of just like actual football. Still didn't have fantastic fantasy numbers, but I do think he could take a step up. Let's keep moving from reverse order. Mason, who's your favorite pick of this draft?
All right, we're on a time crunch, so I got to make it a little short and state the obvious. Marlon Mack in the 20th round is, of course, the best pick.
Oh my God.
Are you one of those? Are you one of those? How does this
What
affect
does this mean for Marlon Mack?
Lands in the 14th, obviously. That's just unheard of.
Yeah, that's not going to happen in most drafts, but I do love the stack there.
All right, JB, what about you? What's your steal/favorite pick?
I mean, I have Eckler and Pollard. I'm going to have the guy at Kelsey. I'm going to have the most touchdowns in the league just with those three guys. And I got them all early, so I locked up the league already.
Locked up the league. I love it, man. And I mean, so personally, I'm not big on Debo, but I do think that you got a great rest of your wide receiver core here. Very young, all have great upside. I'd be worried in year one, but after that, I think that they all have a easy road to being the number one on their team with Zay Flowers and Mingo. And then I'll say for all of my picks, out of the best values, I will say Nico Collins, just with that wide receiver room being so up for grabs. Nico has shown through reception perception, at least, that he is a solid separator. He's a big boy, and they don't got any other type of wide receivers on that team similar to the Giants with Tank Dell, John Mechie, even Robert Woods. They're all undersized guys. Nico stands out from them. But my favorite pick is Miles Sanders. I love Miles Sanders. I think with the contract and the talent and opportunity on this Panthers team, he's really going to continue to shine. But enough about me. JB, you got anything to plug? Anything in the works here?
So Sideline Sports, which is on NFL Alumni Media, we're live in about 9 minutes. You can follow my Twitter at JB_the program. Watch it there or at Sideline Sports 1. And we have over 200 shows on the network. We have our own TV station on Strim TV, and there's a whole lot of stuff going on. Got shows every day, and come watch.
Hey, thank you so much for joining the show. You guys
My
go
pleasure.
give him a follow. Go get on that YouTube channel. He's got a lot of great stuff working over there. And yeah, just thank you again, man. It's been a pleasure doing this with you.
My pleasure. You guys are great. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a good night, guys.
Yep. All right. Take care, you guys.
Yep.